The Sabbath
Because
law was not around before Moses, was not given to anyone as a command. Hence
so
why I
you
keep
realize,
telling you that
right? But you
no
realize
one,
the
you
conundrum,
realize,
right? Because if I can go on with the whole other 8, right? And if that's the case, then you're going to still be in problem. So if one has to exist, if you're saying one doesn't exist but the other 9 do, well, okay, show me where. And that's what I'm saying.
I
We
just
can't
did.
argue out of absence, but we can be logical about it.
No, no, no. I did, and you rejected what I gave you. I said
No,
that the law of
uh,
murder existed
mhm.
before Moses, and I gave you Genesis 9 when Noah gets
Right,
off the ark.
right, and I'm saying fine. I got no problem with that. But what we're talking about is that if, because you began by saying no, Adam didn't. I was
Okay,
just dealing with the Adam statement
let
that
me
you said. Yeah,
let me
I know
answer.
you can
Let
bring
me
in some help. Bring in some help, no
no,
problem.
no, 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 no. It's a calling shot. There's a reason why I pull up people. It's not because I'm running away. Let me answer. Let me answer this way, okay?
Mhm.
Cain, when Cain killed Abel,
Mhm.
he was first given a warning, right? Meaning
Was
he was
given a
clearly
warning.
told, yeah, he was given a warning that, you know, if you sacrifice, if you do something, you know, if you do what I desire, do not let sin consume you, because sin will lead to something horrible. He was given a warning, so he was being commanded not to go ahead and commit this crime. However, if it was important to keep the Sabbath day, God would tell Adam and Eve and his descendants, remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. But he never said anything about the Sabbath until Exodus. So when
Did
he
he
asked
say
about
anything
murder,
about murder? Did he say anything about murder?
I just told you that he did
No,
specifically warn.
yeah, but you're trying to infer that into the text. So just like you're
But
saying the Sabbath not there, I'm saying okay, well,
you
murder
simply
not there either.
no, you are simply refusing what I'm telling you because you
Mhm.
want me to tell you that there's no commandments before Moses about murder, even though I keep giving you passage after passage where people in Noah's days were
No, what I'm
murderers.
trying to show you, yeah, but what I'm trying to show you is the criterion of your yardstick, right? Is really a double standard or hypocritical, because I'm saying that if you're using the criterion that, hey, nobody knew about the Sabbath up until Moses, right? I'm saying, okay, well, during the time between Adam to Abel, do we have any murder? Do we have a commandment of murder? And I'm saying that if you argue out of silence or absence, right, meaning
We
that
have
they didn't know. I'm saying that they didn't know since it wasn't mentioned, so nobody knew about the Sabbath, although Adam was there, right? On
I didn't say
six.
no one, I didn't say no one knew, please.
So
I
so
said
so
no,
right.
no,
So
no.
I'm so I'm just, mhm.
I said they knew that God rested on the seventh day because clearly Adam knew, but they were not commanded to keep the
Mhm.
seventh day
Well,
holy.
where can we get scripture that says that they weren't commanded? There's no scripture to say,
Yes,
and that's what I'm
excuse me,
saying.
Albert.
There's no scripture that
Yeah,
says
can I add
that
something,
talks
Albert?
about, yeah.
Okay. Let me hear our guest. Yes, go ahead and announce yourself, sir, and then ask your question if it's a question or statement.
Yes, peace, brother. My name is Christ is Lord. I'm a Christian, and I was noticing that the gentleman, Prima Scriptura, seems to only stick in the Old Testament for some reason. It's like he's living in the past, trying to keep the past laws in the present. You know, I was wondering if the brother was Jewish and followed Judaism, because everything he's reading is from 4,000 years ago. He's never going to find Christ commanding to keep Moses' laws. And he doesn't understand. I was going to ask him a quick question if he knew what sin is and if he could define sin.
Yeah, I'll answer your question, and then and then I'll ask you a question. So sin, I believe, Romans, sin is this congestion of the law.
Okay, so
All right. So
my comment question,
wait.
brother,
Let me
I,
just
I
ask a
just
follow.
wanted,
Wait. No, here's what I said. I said
okay.
I'll answer your question, and I would give you a follow up question. I'll answer yours, and I'll just give you a follow up question since you asked me one. Right? Could you tell me? Could you remind me of the question that was asked of Christ? Right? Uh, what are the two greatest commandments?
Unmute yourself. Christ is Lord.
red letters reiterates that to love your neighbor as yourself is the law and the prophets. You answered sin is transgression of the law. And I want you to answer this if you may.
I didn't hear the whole one yet. You want to just repeat it? We didn't hear the first part. So could you just repeat? Yeah.
You answered sin is transgression of the law. So my question is, according to Genesis 4:7, God told Cain, if thou doest well, shall thou not be accepted. And if thou doest not well, sin lies at the door. So what law was Cain under at the time of Genesis 4:8?
Thank you.
Yeah. That's not. I asked you a question, you didn't answer. I'll gladly answer your question, right?
No, he did. He even answered my question. My answer as well.
I said I did
So
not.
they had a law. They had a law.
No, that's not. Here's what my question was, what are the two commandments of what they asked Christ? And that is what I'm asked. I didn't hear the first part of it. So I wanted to know what was the answer. I didn't hear it. So I just asked him to repeat it and then I'll answer the question. Right.
Okay, well, I apologize for not speaking clearly. The two laws were love thy father and love thy neighbor as thyself. If you do these two, you do all the laws. Because if you love your brother as yourself, you would never cheat with his wife. You would never steal from him. So what Christ did was simplified the law. And now, since we're married to Christ, we're under his house rules. But my question to you was,
all right, that's not. I just want one follow up. I'll come to your question, but I just want to follow up. Could you just tell me what scripture Christ was quoting when he made that statement?
Well, here's the problem, and that's why you don't have understanding. It's not what scripture Christ was quoting, it's what scripture prophesies of Christ coming.
No,
because the laws and the prophets, brother, you can't interrupt me. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, King.
No, what I'm saying is they asked him a question. You gave me the answer. All I asked you was, and I'll come to your question. Could you tell me, right, what scripture Christ was quoting when he said, "Love the Lord with all your heart and with all your soul"? And what scripture is he referring to?
And my answer is, brother, he's not quoting because he is the law. He is the prophets. The entire Old Testament was speaking of him. He's the schoolmaster. The problem with you is you want to hold on to the old thing. And that's why you're avoiding my question. When I proved Cain committed sin, you reiterated sin is transgression of the law. So may I ask you, brother, what law was Cain under at that time? Because Moses didn't even exist.
Right. You still didn't answer my question. You know that, right?
Oh, trust me, he did. He just didn't understand his answer. Because
No,
I tried my hardest to use my broken English, and you have a gentleman who's clearly articulate.
No, that's not. He still doesn't. I asked him what Old Testament scripture was Christ quoting.
Again, Christ didn't
have. So let me help. Let me help the first one, right?
Okay.
So the first one is the love the God, right? Where in the 10, let me just help you. So in Exodus chapter 20, right? What are we talking about?
Brother, if you just explain it, we'll save time. This is not Jeopardy. Okay. We're not in a game show to answer a million questions. Speak your piece.
But
you're
asking me questions. No, you're asking me questions just the same way. So we on Jeopardy.
Yeah, but brother, I brought you to the scripture that said it clearly.
Right. So let's cut to the chase. I'll help you out with it. So the two scriptures.
Okay, thank you.
Right, the two responses that Christ gave can also be found. It is scriptural reference in the Old Testament. So one we know is Exodus chapter 20. That's the first one. You should love the Lord your God with all your heart. And we know that the love for your brother is also quoted as well. I'll give you some homework to try to figure that one out when it says love your brother. So Christ is literally quoting scripture, right? And most of the time when Christ responds to a question, he's quoting scripture. So let me answer your question now about Cain. So you're asking me, right, what law was Cain under? Right?
Correct.
Right. Okay,
Yes,
cool.
sir.
Right. So my question, we came about this particular question that I asked Albert, because he was saying that the Sabbath did not exist until Moses. I corrected him and said, hey, the Sabbath existed because God is the one who rested, and Adam was present when God rested.
I didn't
If
say
we
Correct.
argue, if we argue out of absence to say, okay, we have no Old Testament scripture to say that no one kept the Sabbath up until Horeb when they assembled, right? I am saying between Adam and Abel, we have no scripture to say, thou shalt not kill, or sorry, thou shalt not commit murder. So if that's the case, right, by your criterion, then what sin did Cain do when he killed? It would God can't arbitrate, right, a sin
Mhm.
if the person who committed the sin did not know that it was illegal or unlawful for him to murder his brother. So my point being is that just as much as Cain would have known that it's unlawful to have slain your brother, I am saying that the knowledge and the observance of the Sabbath could also have been there, since there's no scriptural reference to support what you're trying to say. So we can't argue out of silence, because I can use other of the eight to say, well, okay, did anyone know about lying? Did anyone know about taking his neighbor's wife? Right? We have
Yes. Can I? Excuse me, brother. Can I
so I'm
just address,
answering your
because
question.
you're
So I'm
making?
answering.
Okay,
So I'm
good. Sorry.
answering your question.
Sorry,
So
brother.
I'm answering your question to
Sorry.
say that they knew about the morality. The Ten Commandments are morality principles that were reiterated at Horeb. So I'm saying that
Okay.
because if we go to Abraham, it says that Abraham kept
Yeah, but brother,
God's
you're kind
laws.
of dragging on and making a whole bunch of points. Can I
Mhm.
respond to the
Okay,
first
go
couple
ahead.
points?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. So you're claiming, if I'm not mistaken, that because it wasn't literally said, it was not existing.
No,
Here's the
that's
problem, and
Albert's. No,
brother,
that's
hold on, brother.
no,
If you
you're
let me
wait.
finish my
No,
comment,
I know, but
okay,
what I'm trying to correct you on, because you might have come in late to our conversation.
okay.
That's why you're misspeaking. So I'm saying that was
But
Albert's
how did
point.
I misspeak if I haven't finished
okay.
my sentence?
You
Okay.
started
Can
off.
you hear the whole matter? According
Christ,
to the Mosaic law, can you hear the whole matter before you make a judgment?
Christ's Lord, go ahead and respond to what he said, because he did say some things that he misrepresented my claim, because I never denied that the seventh day was holy and God rested on the seventh day. My statement was that the seventh day is not a moral law, so it was not given to anyone except for the children of Israel. Now, you have to
Yes.
understand that Christ already came, and Christ said that, come to me and I'll give you rest. I'll give you the true rest that you solely we desire, which is the rest for our souls. That's the ultimate Sabbath. However, the prima scriptura, you constantly say that yes, Christ and the disciples kept the Sabbath, and I never deny that these guys were under the law and the law was not abolished. However, the Christians or followers of Christ, especially Gentile believers, the letter from the Acts 15 was very clear. No one was required to keep the Sabbath day as a way to please God. But go ahead, Christ is Lord, and respond to what he said. I was just simply clarifying my position. Unmute yourself, Christ is Lord.
Okay, sorry. And brother Albert was 100% correct. And I was going to explain to prima scriptura. He said because there was not literally stated about the Sabbath and about sleeping with people's wives, right? But the issue he's going to have is this. Before Moses existed, God punished Cain for murder. So obviously that law was there and it was wrong. And Abraham, Sarah's wife, when the king was going to sleep with her, God punished him for that also. You're never going to find God punishing somebody for not keeping the Sabbath before the Mosaic covenant. So Albert saying that that punishment didn't exist is 1,000% correct. You saying that the punishment for sleeping with a wife is wrong because God punished people for that. So obviously that law existed.
Oh no, my brother,
That's
you're
the point I was
misconstruing
trying
what
to
I
make.
said. No, I know, but what I'm saying, you're misrepresenting what I said. You didn't hear what the argument was. You came in late. But anyhow, the mere point of us getting back to this was Albert's assertion that the first day of the week is the Lord's day. That's how we ended up here. So I just want to reel back as to how it is we ended up here, because he was making the assertion that, hey, it was only until Moses that the Sabbath was a command in order to keep. And I'm saying, well, if all the other nines were acknowledged and were knowledgeable and they kept it, why it is that you're now saying that there wasn't the fourth, right? If per se, what laws did now Abraham keep when it says that he kept God's laws and statutes?
See,
Okay.
brother, you're kind of throwing in a slew of things. Because first you spoke about the Lord's day, now you're going to Abraham keeping laws. It's almost like you're trying to force a doctrine that you know is incorrect. And I'll
No, my
just
brother.
end with this. But brother, I'll just end with this, if I may. According to Deuteronomy 18, I think it's 15 through 18, Moses himself said a prophet was going to appear that we should listen to. So Moses was already letting you know somebody greater than him was going to appear. Now, I don't know if you're familiar with Matthew 17, 1 through 8, when Moses and Christ are standing shoulder to shoulder with the disciples. Who did the Father say we should follow, Moses or Christ? Because Moses and Christ were right there next to each other. According to you, the Father should have just said, follow both of them because they speak the same doctrine. So when
My brother,
Moses and Christ were, hold
you're
on,
putting
and
words in my mouth. I
10,
didn't say
I
anything.
five
You're putting words
Let,
seconds
in my
and I'll
mouth.
finish.
No, but let
let,
it.
let him finish, because I'll give you a chance, sir, but let Christ's law
Yeah, but
finish.
please don't assert things that I didn't say. So you're meaning
Well,
stuff that I
brother,
didn't say.
are you saying that we should follow Moses' laws and not Christ's laws? Or are you saying Moses' laws are Christ's laws?
So
Can
let
you
me
clarify your stance?
right. So let me clarify the same mistake that Albert made. Who said and wrote the Ten Commandments?
Brother, can you just answer the question
Who?
before we hop into another?
Okay, no. It's
Please,
simple.
just to
You said
keep it
no.
on
Wait.
topic.
You said Moses' law. I asked you who wrote and gave the Ten Commandments.
Okay, well, just so I can clarify it, when we say Moses' laws, and I believe Albert is on the same page, when we say Moses' laws, we're talking about the covenant that was given only to Moses to give to the Israelites, that included laws and statutes that, if they were not followed, led to death.
Thank
That's what
you.
we mean by Moses' laws. So,
It's,
according to
Let me
you,
repeat the question again. Who who wrote the Ten Commandments and spake it?
the Father gave the Ten
Okay,
Commandments,
cool.
brother. But
So
those were
so
already universal laws that
mhm,
pre-existed before Moses, which you can prove by
mhm,
the Pharaoh trying to be with Moses' wife. The Lord did
right.
not agree.
So the Ten
When
Commandments existed before. So that means the Sabbath also existed before. Correct?
no, brother, because you're never going to see somebody getting punished for not keeping the Sabbath. The
What?
punishment of the Sabbath was included in the Mosaic covenant.
which
Now
you
you
want.
jumped into something. Yeah, sorry, Albert. Sorry.
Go
Speak.
ahead, finish your statement. Go ahead, finish your
No, no,
statement.
no, no, brother. This is your stage.
Mm.
Speak, brother. Sorry.
Because yes, I'm hearing both arguments. Because prima scriptura, I hope you're hearing what we're saying. When we talk
What are you
about the
saying is
law,
incorrect? That's what I'm saying.
pardon?
What you're saying is incorrect because I asked you who wrote and gave the Ten Commandments. He
I can give you a
responded. He
direct
said,
answer.
he said God the Father. No,
I can,
because he was making the inference that the Sabbath is in Moses' law, right? And
okay.
it's Moses' law. So I'm
And
saying whose commandments, right? Who gave and who wrote the Ten Commandments? It's the Father.
we
Okay, excuse
answered
me, Albert. If if
this.
if if I can add this, a child was stoned for picking up sticks on the Sabbath after the Mosaic law was given. Can you show a scripture before Moses, somebody being put to death for breaking the Sabbath? You have the floor, brother.
No, you're incorrect. I don't think it's a child. I think it was found to be a man, right? And they
Doesn't
brought
matter.
him
The
unto
person was,
Moses.
person
Yeah,
was
I
stoned.
think they brought him unto Moses, and then I think he inquired of what should have been done. Now, the reason for that was the disobedience. It wasn't as such that it was the day, it was the direct disobedience that they showed. And that is what Christ, the judgments that Christ installed for the disobedience, not that they were law. The principles of the Ten Commandments are
So you're
has to
not
do with.
answering direct questions. You're not answering direct
I
questions.
answered.
He's making a point. A point
Yeah,
he's
but
making.
wait, I corrected him by saying he said a child. I said
Okay,
no, it
okay,
was a man. They brought the man to Moses. Wait, they brought the
See,
man to Moses.
Albert, see, excuse me, brother, Albert, this is a One West. He might not claim One West, but this is what you're going to deal with. Us Christians come with scripture. We come with proof and evidence. They come with feelings and
My
emotions.
brother,
And
you
what they're going to,
just misspoke on the very same scripture.
yeah,
This is
but we're
time
waiting
out.
for a scripture. Yeah,
the,
sorry,
the
Albert.
point. Okay, misspeaking on this show, you can speak as we can misspeak as long as you can clarify yourself.
Well,
Whether
that's
it's
what
a
I'm
child,
saying. So I'm clarifying. But wait, I'm clarifying. He
but the
said it was
question
a child.
remains.
And I said, well, wait, it
Question.
was a man. Wait. I'm saying they brought the man to Moses, right? They inquired, what should be done of him? It was inquired, and then he was stoned. I am saying that the penalty, right, for that was given because of disobedience.
Okay, now let me read you one more law and see if you want to keep this law. Okay.
We're talking
This
about the
law,
10 Commandments, right?
okay, but the law of Moses is more than just the 10 Commandments. You understand that, right? The
No, we
covenant.
have the command. Listen, you
Okay, the
have.
law of Moses.
So,
Okay,
so,
the
so
law.
let's clarify it again. As I said, you have the 10 Commandments, 10 universal principles that were given at Horeb, written by God on 2 tables of stone with his finger, as recorded in
Yes.
Scripture. We
Okay.
have the collections of instructions, which we call the Torah. Those collections of instructions are namely called Moses' law. What I am saying is when you speak, we were speaking about the Sabbath. The Sabbath is in the 10 commandments that God gave. What you try to always infer is that those commandments were Moses' law. They are not. They are God's commandments.
Okay. Allow me to respond to everything you say.
Yeah, go ahead.
Now, we've already outlined, we've already touched on the Sabbath law. Just as Brother Christ's law said, that when it comes to other laws, such as adultery, you see where God punishes adultery, such as murder, we see where God punishes murder. But we simply ask you to bring out any scripture that proves that God was angry with Sabbath breakers and he punished them prior to the covenant he made with Moses. Now, the covenant he made with Moses, yes, the 10 Commandments, these are universal laws, these laws exist before Moses. But God was simply trying to institute, to reveal his holiness through the 10 Commandments. And these 10 Commandments, as you know, pretty much everyone broke them, or all of them break them. We see an example where a man suffers the consequences of breaking the law that was given to Moses, i.e., the Sabbath. Now, if you want to say that we're still under the Sabbath law, we should keep the Sabbath, you also have to go the extra mile and also say that Sabbath breakers are to be punished by stoning under the law of Moses. And you also must say that adulterers, homosexuals, and all kinds of sexual perverts are to be stoned to death under the law of Moses. Even children who disobey their parents, some of them were stoned. Even drunkards, some of them were stoned. So there are many reasons to be stoned under the law of Moses. So when I say that we're no longer under the law of Moses, I'm doing you a favor, because if you're living under the law of Moses, you won't be here too long. Now, you said that the 10 Commandments were written by the Father. True. I'm not saying we shouldn't keep the 10 Commandments. I'm saying the 10 Commandments are separate from all these laws from most of these laws that were given to Moses, because they pre-exist Moses, they predate Moses. And then we gave you an example with Cain and Abel, how